Hi, this is Molly at Westminster Police. Can I help you?
Hi, I need you to come to my house. My son wants to turn himself in for the Jessica Ridgeway murder.
Can you tell me exactly what he said?
But he did it, and he gave me details, and her remains are in my house.
October 5th, 2012 began like any other morning in Westminster, Colorado. The Rocky Mountains stood silent in the distance while families prepared for the day. In a modest home on Moore Circle, 10-year-old Jessica Ridgeway woke up at exactly 7:45. She had recently asked her mother for an alarm clock because she wanted to start waking up on her own. It was a small request, a sign of growing independence that any parent would encourage. Jessica watched some television, ate a granola bar, and changed into her clothes for the day. She stood in the kitchen with her mother, Sarah, and together they peeled an orange for her to take to school. It was a simple moment, a mother and daughter sharing a quiet morning routine. Neither of them knew it would be their last. Jessica wrapped herself in a warm winter coat, said goodbye, and walked out the front door. Sarah closed the door behind her and went to sleep. She had worked the night shift until 7 that morning. The house fell silent. Jessica was supposed to meet her friends at Chelsea Park, a 5-minute walk from her home. From there, they would walk together to Witt Elementary School, where Jessica was a beloved 5th-grade student. But Jessica never arrived at the park. Her friends waited, then left for school, assuming she would catch up. The morning stretched on without anyone realizing something was wrong. At Witt Elementary, teachers took attendance. Jessica's seat remained empty. This was unusual. Jessica loved school and had perfect attendance. She was the kind of student who raised her hand first, who smiled easily, who made friends without effort. When she didn't appear by 10 o'clock, the school called Sarah's home, but Sarah was sleeping. The phone rang and rang. A voicemail was left. Sarah slept through it all, completely unaware that her daughter had vanished from the face of the earth. At her desk, teachers found Jessica's notebook. Her homework was inside, completed neatly as always. On one page, she had written a reminder to herself, "Don't play in the park alone and be careful of strangers." The words were innocent, the kind of lesson every child learns, but they would later carry a weight no one could have imagined. The school day ended. Children went home. Still, no one knew. It wasn't until 4:30 in the afternoon that Sarah finally woke up and listened to the voicemail. Panic hit her immediately. She drove to Chelsea Park. She drove to the school. She knocked on the doors of Jessica's friends. No one had seen her daughter. No one knew anything. Sarah called the Westminster Police Department that evening. Her voice carried the weight of a mother's worst fear.
My daughter's missing. I guess she never made it to school this morning.
How old's your daughter?
She's 10.
Okay, what's your daughter's name?
Jessica Ridgeway.
She described Jessica, 10 years old, shoulder-length blonde hair, blue eyes, wearing a black winter jacket. The dispatcher took the information and set things in motion. By 9:15 that night, investigators believed they were dealing with a kidnapping.
Right now, police, along with the CBI, have issued an Amber Alert, and the reason is this. It's because of the amount of time that has passed since she was last seen.
When we start with an 8-hour delay or a delay as substantial as this, the distance that she could have wandered, even on her own, just gets huge.
The search became massive. Police officers flooded the neighborhood. Firefighters arrived with thermal imaging equipment, hoping to see through the darkness. They set up powerful lights that illuminated Chelsea Park, casting long shadows across the empty playground where Jessica should have been playing with her friends. A helicopter equipped with night vision was requested.
We're using every resource we have. We're trying to use air or helicopters that have equipment that can search in the dark. Unfortunately, the weather has grounded those, so we're not able to use that tool.
The search would continue through the night on foot. Volunteers arrived the next morning. Over 400 people joined the effort, searching backyards, open fields, creeks, and wooded areas. Police photographed every vehicle leaving the neighborhood and collected DNA samples from hundreds of people. Purple ribbons began appearing on mailboxes and trees. Purple was Jessica's favorite color. The community was holding its breath, waiting for news that didn't come. 4 days passed with no sign of Jessica. Her family had remained inside their home, unable to face the world while their daughter was missing. But on the 4th day, They stepped outside to speak to the press. Sarah stood before the cameras, her voice breaking. "Jessica is my rock," she told reporters. "She's all of our rock. I need to hear her bright voice. I need her to come home." Jeremiah, Jessica's father, stood beside her. He lived in Missouri, but he had come to Colorado as soon as he heard the news. "I'm trying to stay positive, but it's hard," he told the cameras. "I just want to find my daughter. I watched her walk out that door that morning, and I want her to walk back through it. That's not anything any parent should ever have to experience." Police had already ruled out any involvement by the parents. They had cooperated fully, providing DNA samples and answering every question. Investigators believed Jessica was taken by a stranger. They considered two possibilities. Either she was lured by someone she knew and trusted, or she was taken suddenly without warning. Given what they knew about Jessica, the first option seemed unlikely. She was cautious. She was aware of her surroundings. That notebook page, the one about being careful of strangers, suggested she understood the dangers. 6 days after Jessica disappeared, a man in Superior, Colorado, made a discovery. He was about 6.5 miles from Jessica's home when he found a backpack sitting in an area he frequented. Inside were a pair of glasses, a water bottle, and a piece of clothing that smelled of urine. Attached to the backpack was a keychain with a name on it, Jessica. The man didn't immediately connect the backpack to the search that had dominated local news for nearly a week. He did what many people would do. He posted online in a local community forum, writing that if the backpack belonged to someone, they could come and pick it up. Eventually, someone saw the post, recognized the name, and called 911. When Sarah heard the news, she felt something she hadn't felt in days. Hope. She thought about it logically. If something truly terrible had happened to her daughter, why would the kidnapper leave the backpack out in the open like that? Why leave evidence that could be found? It didn't make sense. She allowed herself to believe that maybe, just maybe, Jessica was still alive. Maybe she was being held somewhere. Maybe she would come home. That hope was fragile, but it was real. It lasted less than 24 hours. The very next day, October 10th, maintenance workers were working near a park in Arvada, another Denver suburb about 6 miles from Jessica's home. They noticed a heavy plastic bag on the side of the road. They didn't open it. Something told them not to. They called the police. A K-9 unit arrived. The dog alerted. Inside the bag was a small torso. Late that night, police announced that a body had been found. They wouldn't officially confirm it was Jessica Ridgeway, but multiple sources told news outlets they believed it was her. Forensic testing later confirmed the truth. The remains belonged to Jessica. Parts of her body were still missing. Investigators couldn't immediately determine the exact cause of death. A wooden cross was found at the scene. Police didn't explain exactly where it was found in relation to the remains, but investigators described it as a critical piece of evidence. The Westminster police chief held a press conference.
The Colorado community on edge as police search for 10-year-old Jessica Ridgeway's killer.
In Jessica Ridgway's community of Westminster, Colorado this morning, there is sadness, anger, and fear.
This is horrible. This is absolutely horrible.
That a killer is on the loose.
I want to stress that we recognize that there is a predator at large in our community.
With state, local, and federal agents working Jessica's murder, police have scoured her neighborhood and the community for clues. More than 1,500 tips have poured in, 500 homes searched. A manhunt underway for a killer still on the street.
The community that had held out hope now faced a new reality. A child was dead. A killer was still out there. If cases like Jessica's matter to you, hit that subscribe button. Investigators began connecting evidence from different cases. They looked back at an incident that had happened 4 months earlier on Memorial Day. A woman was out jogging near Kettner Lake when she was attacked from behind. A man pressed a cloth soaked in chloroform over her face and dragged her into some bushes. She fought back, managed to break free, and escaped. She gave a limited description: a white male between 5'6" and 5'8", with an average build. The attack happened just steps away from where Jessica was believed to have been abducted. DNA recovered from the jogger was sent to a lab. When investigators compared it to DNA found in Jessica's case, it was a match. They were looking for the same person. The FBI released a psychological profile of the suspect and told the community to remain on alert. According to the profile, this was a different type of predator. To kidnap a child and then dispose of a body in that way put this person in a category by himself. The FBI asked the public to look for behavioral changes in the people around them. Something as simple as shaving their face, changing their hair color, or altering their mood. It could be someone who started parking their car in the garage when they always used to park in the driveway. Unfortunately, the FBI warned it was someone's family member, someone's neighbor, someone's friend. After detectives released photos of the cross pendant found at the scene, a neighbor came forward. She lived near a family named Sigg and told the FBI about a 17-year-old boy named Austin Sigg. He lived with his mother, Mindy, and owned a cross that looked very similar to the one in the photos. She also knew that Austin had an obsession with death. He was interested in the decomposition of human and animal bodies. Austin was brought in for questioning. He agreed to give a DNA sample and told agents that on the day Jessica disappeared, he was home asleep. Investigators noticed he was wearing a cross that looked almost identical to the one in the evidence photos. His answers seemed to satisfy them. They collected the sample and let him go. They continued going door to door, collecting hundreds of samples. Each sample was sent to the lab for testing. When Austin's results came back, there was no match. He was temporarily off the radar. On October 22nd, the media began heavily covering the story about the DNA link between Jessica's case and the attack on the jogger. That same day, Austin told his classmates that he felt extremely weak, seriously ill, like something was very wrong. That night, he slept in his mother's bed. The next morning, October 23rd, Austin told his mother he had something to confess. She asked him if it was about Jessica. She later recalled that she didn't know how, but she just knew. When he confirmed it, Mindy collapsed onto the floor crying. "This can't be happening," she said out loud. Austin told her he was going to prison and asked her to call the police. She picked up the phone and dialed 911.
Hi, this is Molly at Westminster Police. Can I help you?
Hi, I need you to come to my house. My son wants to turn himself in for the Jessica Ridgeway murder.
Can you tell me exactly what he said?
But he did it, and he gave me details, and her remains are in my house.
Did you see them?
No.
Is he there with you?
Yes.
Is he cooperative?
Yes.
What is your son's name?
Austin Sigg.
Okay, I understand that you're probably, feeling pretty crappy right now, but I want you to know that you did the right thing by calling.
He did it. He just wanted me to call. He is turning himself in.
Okay, do you think that he's going to be cooperative with the officers?
Absolutely.
Okay. Do you think that Austin would talk to me?
Will you talk to us? Yeah, hold on.
Okay.
Hello?
Is this Austin?
Yes, it is.
Hi, Austin. This is Molly at the Westminster Police Department.
Hi.
Can you tell me a little bit about what's going on right now, or how you're feeling, or how did this come about?
I don't exactly get why you're asking these questions. I murdered Jessica Ridgeway.
Okay.
I have proof that I did it. There is no other question. You just have to send a squad car, something down here, and I will answer all the questions that you want to ask, or anyone wants to ask of me as soon as you gotta get down here.
Okay. Have you committed any crimes like this before? This the first? Do you have a criminal history of any sort?
The only other thing that I have done that before this was the Kettner Lake incident where the woman got attacked. That was me.
Ma'am, I understand you want to call your husband, and I'm sorry, but I would like to keep you guys on the phone just until the officers get a little bit closer.
Well, how far are they?
They're going to be there in just a few minutes. Is Austin still there with you?
Yeah, I won't let him out of my sight.
Okay. Has Austin been diagnosed with any mental health issues? Does he see a counselor or take any medication?
He saw a counselor years ago for porn.
Okay.
I can't breathe.
Take some deep breaths for me. Do you want me to start you an ambulance?
No.
Are you sure?
I'm sure.
Okay, what just happened?
I opened the window.
What's that?
I just opened the window.
Okay.
I need air.
Okay. Mindy, take a couple deep breaths for me, okay? You tell me when the officers get there. They're coming to your front door. Okay?
I don't see him. I don't see him yet.
You don't see them?
No.
Is Austin okay with you right now?
Yeah, he's just getting really anxious, and so am I.
Okay.
They're here. They're coming up.
They're coming up to the door?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you see the plainclothes officers and their badges?
Yeah, they're here.
Okay, I'll let you go speak with them, okay?
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, bye.
Goodbye.
19 days after Jessica Ridgeway disappeared, Austin Sigg sat in an interrogation room and provided a full confession. According to his account, he had been watching Jessica play in the park that morning. He parked his Jeep in a location where no one could see him and waited. When Jessica walked past carrying a snowball, he jumped out and grabbed her, pulling her inside the vehicle. Jessica screamed, but there was no one around to hear. He restrained her hands and feet with zip ties. Random place, random time, random everything, he told detectives. The second I pulled her into my car, I knew she was dead. Jessica asked him who he was and if he knew her mother. Austin claimed he lied to her, telling her repeatedly that everything would be okay and that she would go home soon. He drove her to his house and carried her to his room. He said he removed the zip ties from her wrists and turned on cartoons for her. She had wet herself during the abduction, so he gave her a white shirt and black shorts to change into. He also cut her hair. At some point, he told her to turn away from him. He then strangled her to death. Austin admitted he was consumed by what he called a sexual drive when he grabbed Jessica, though he maintained he did not sexually assault her. What followed was a methodical attempt to dispose of the evidence. He dismembered Jessica's body in the bathtub, placing her torso in plastic bags that he initially hid in a pool house before driving to dump them on the roadside in Arvada. He removed and identified each of her organs, later explaining that his knowledge came from a forensic science class. Serial killers, he told investigators, the successful ones were the ones who could always make the body disappear. Austin's treatment of Jessica's body demonstrated a level of detachment rarely seen. He directed investigators to a crawl space beneath his house where additional remains could be found. He described attempting to flush portions of her body down the toilet, though this method proved unsuccessful. Investigators later recovered human tissue from the plumbing, confirming his account. Jessica Ridgeway was already dead before the Amber Alert was even issued, before her mother woke up that afternoon, before the community began searching. The search for a missing girl had been, from the very beginning, a search for a killer. Austin Sigg was charged as an adult with first-degree murder, kidnapping, and sexual assault of a child.
Courtroom sketches of Austin Sigg, the teenager pleading not guilty to killing 10-year-old Jessica Ridgeway, even though he admitted it.
Well, this could very well be a placeholder plea. Even though Austin Sigg pled not guilty on all counts, he has the option to modify that later, including guilty and not guilty by reason of insanity.
He initially pleaded not guilty, but 1 year after Jessica's death, he changed his plea. He pleaded guilty to 15 charges and was sentenced to life in prison for the murder. The judge added 86 consecutive years for the other crimes, ensuring he would never be released. Jessica's mother, Sarah, chose not to speak in court. She later said they would not remember the killer's name. They would only remember Jessica. Austin's mother, Mindy, never regretted calling the police. "I would trade places with Jessica if I could," she said. Jessica's family found compassion for her, understanding that she had lost her son too. The community built a memorial playground in Jessica's honor, complete with purple ribbons and engraved knock-knock jokes written by her classmates. A cheer camp was created because Jessica wanted to be a cheerleader who was kind to everyone.
Those of us involved in this case unfortunately never had the privilege of knowing your wonderful daughter. But I can honestly tell you, we feel like we did. We feel like she's part of our family, and we feel like we've lost part of our family.
Years later, Sarah had another daughter named Anna. Jessica would have been the best big sister, she said. I believe Jessica watches over our family still. She described losing a child as a plate shattering. One piece is lost forever. You can try to glue it back together, but the cracks will always remain. It will never be the same again.